Hello and welcome to Campaign Chronicles, our daily look at all the latest on the French election campaign trail ahead of the first round of the presidential poll on the 22nd of April. But although we've been talking about President Sarkozy's opponents all this time, he's still not officially said whether he'll actually be running in the race. Well, apparently the long wait will soon be over. According to the Figaro newspaper, at least, they say that he'll announce his candidacy this week. Party officials have confirmed they've booked a venue in Marseille for next Sunday, where a big UMP party rally is also scheduled. You'd be forgiven for thinking, though, that this campaign had already started for President Sarkozy. He's made 15 visits across France in February alone. Now you can see him travelling around, pressing the flesh and posing for photo opportunities. And he certainly needs to. The socialist candidate François Hollande is currently ahead in the polls on 32%, as opposed to Sarkozy's 25%. And even some of Sarkozy's supporters say it's been too long a wait.
He needs to get engaged in the campaign. Our voters expect it. Our activists expect it. I think it is in his interest that he starts campaigning just like Barack Obama does in the US. Nobody has a problem with that.
Well, for a look now at what the papers are saying about the plans for the big announcement, I'm joined by our press reviewer, Florence Vimino. Hello, Florence.
Hi, Lorna.
OK, so it's buzzing, and we're going to start off with Le Figaro. They've got perhaps the big scoop about the date.
It seems like the moment has finally come. We've been talking about it for months, and Le Figaro says that Sarkozy will be a candidate this week. And in their editorial, they say that it's going to be an uphill battle for Sarkozy because on paper, everything is against him. As you were just mentioning, he's behind in the polls. There's also the crisis. And across Europe, incumbents have lost re-election recently. So it seems like everything is going against him. But according to Le Figaro, Sarkozy is in great spirits. According to the newspaper, he has things that we don't even know is going to come about. He says that you haven't seen anything yet. And according to the paper, Sarkozy won't start a fight if he doesn't think he's going to win. Now, according to the paper, Sarkozy's strategy is to tell French people the way it is. He's not going to look to, he's not going to turn to the 20th century for solutions for the 21st century, and that's what Le Figaro says the Socialist Party is doing with François Hollande's campaign. According to Le Figaro, Sarkozy has a vision, and Le Figaro says Sarkozy is going to win the election. So they're very, very optimistic.
But now, they are traditionally, of course, a paper that supports the UMP.
Absolutely. They've always been cheerleaders of Sarkozy. And it's also on the cover of Le Parisien. Sarkozy joue son va-tout. Sarkozy is putting all the chips on the table. And according to Le Parisien, it's crucial for him to have a successful start to his campaign. And the Élysée Palace is ready, and they're turning into kind of they're gearing up for battle. There's this whole command center. Supposedly, they've already got a slogan. They've already got a campaign poster ready. Everyone's ready for this 2-month sprint until the election. They're just waiting for the signal, which, according to the Figaro, could be anytime between today and Thursday. So they're waiting for the signal, but it seems like some people are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. If we look at this article in Libération, some of Sarkozy's advisors have already kind of let the cat out of the bag. They've given a false start. Recently, the former Interior Minister, Brice Hortefeux, was speaking on the radio, and he referred to Sarkozy as candidate Sarkozy before quickly correcting himself.
OK, so the cat's out the bag. I think most people did seem to think that he would be running. The left-leaning press, meanwhile, that's a look at the right-leaning press, but the left-leaning press, they're also reacting to his candidacy.
They are, and we're going to start by looking at L'Humanité, which is the communist newspaper. So, candidat jusqu'à l'extrême, Sarkozy is an extreme candidate for the communist newspaper, and there you can see he's warming his hands on this little flame, which is actually the symbol of the extreme right, the Front National. Now, L'Humanité is basically criticizing Sarkozy, saying that he's pandering for votes, trying to get the votes from the extreme right. And in their editorial, they say that his program, which he pretty much outlined in an interview with Le Figaro magazine over the weekend, basically returned to very conservative values and extreme right, according to L'Humanité. According to, in their editorial, they call this sickening.
They think perhaps he's pandering too much to Marine Le Pen's supporters. But meanwhile, the Catholic newspaper La Croix, they're calling for the candidates to focus on what brings the French people together rather than what tears them apart.
That's right. The Catholic newspaper points out that both the left and the right are becoming more radical in the lead up to this election by focusing on questions that have to do with people's values, like gay marriage or euthanasia. In their editorial, La Croix points points out that French people are actually more concerned about economic questions. And it calls on candidates to focus more on what brings people together, common values, rather than what tears people apart.
And focusing again on Sarkozy, a lot of the papers are focusing on how the other candidates are reacting to him finally, apparently, about to put his hat in the ring.
That's right, and we're going to start by looking at François Hollande's reaction. He says that he couldn't care less. According to an article in François, he's completely indifferent to the beginning of Sarkozy's campaign. Good for him, he says. He even mocked Sarkozy, saying that he was rushing things because Sarkozy has put off being a candidate for so long. Hollande said that he'd be wasting time if he stopped to pay attention to what Sarkozy is doing. Meanwhile, Marine Le Pen has already started attacking Sarkozy at a rally in Strasbourg over the weekend. She called him Mr. Immigration, saying that immigration had never been so high under his presidency. And in Libération, we see that François Bayrou, who's the centrist Modem party candidate, he's pretty interested with this, what I was talking about in La Croix, with the radicalization of both the left and the right, because that means that there's this void, this vacuum that he's hoping to fill. And this article in Libération says this could be his moment of truth. He came in third in the 2007 presidential election, so this could be a moment for him to attract a lot of votes. Now, he's hoping to attract what they call the humanist vote from the right, people who are tired with the party moving too much to the extreme right.
Okay, thanks very much indeed, Florence Philibinot, for that look at all the campaign stories in today's French newspapers. That's just about it from us here on Live from Paris this morning. Many thanks for joining us, and do stay tuned. There's more headlines coming up in just a moment after the weather.